Hello, in this video we're going to go through an overview of Systems Manager Sentry. My name is George Bentinck, Solutions Architect for the Meraki team based here in San Francisco. Now Systems Manager Sentry brings together the wealth of data available in the Meraki cloud on all our different product families to provide simple automatic security that is context aware. This is really powerful as you don't need to do any of the typical integration and configuration that you would have to do with other systems, and it allows you to very simply and easily deploy very complex controls. So we're going to go through what that looks like by having a quick demonstration of the Meraki dashboard. Now I'm logged into a Meraki network, and the first thing we're going to look at is what's known as Sentry policies. So if I go up to the top where it says network-wide, and I can go in here and I can look at group policies and Sentry policies. Now just a little bit of a lesson on group policies, as these are something that are used by Sentry policies, so we need to start with the basics. So group policies are policies applied in the network on different Meraki products with features such as traffic shaping, content filtering, security filtering, Layer 7 firewall rules, all those type of things. So I can go in here and I can add a group policy, and then we can look at all the different things that can be configured. So bandwidth, firewall rules, security rules, and so on. So I can create a very detailed, very customized network rule that we can apply across the Meraki products. Now, the Sentry policies bit is, if I go up here, back to where it says Sentry's policies under the configure section, a way of linking these very detailed policies, these group policies that you've configured in the network, with Systems Manager mobile device management. So with Systems Manager, we're able to check a number of different things, and we can check these things called tags. Now, tags can either be assigned statically or they can be assigned dynamically, and that provides a very powerful use for these policies. So to create a new Sentry policy, I select the Systems Manager network that I want to check the devices of, and I can then choose how we check the tags on those devices. So a little history lesson or a little brief recap on tags. So we have two types. I said static and these auto or dynamic tags. The static ones being grey and the automatic ones being green. And if I click in this box, we have a list of all the tags that have been created and available on the network. So I could choose one in here. So for example, we already have this static tag at the top here, Cisco, that's set, but we could add another static tag, so I could add executive. So this is going to check to see if it is a Cisco executive. And then we also have this green one, which is that auto or dynamic tag. And this is checking that it's a compliant device with our security policy called Meraki Secure. Now, if I click in the box and we scroll down, we can see all the tags that are available, and we can see the other dynamic tags in green. So, for example, we can check the Active Directory group that this device is part of, or the user is part of. We can check the device type, whether or not they're geofencing compliant. So that means, are they in this particular area, or are they outside a particular area, or multiple areas? So you can say this rule should only apply when they're in the office or on the school premises. We can also check to see who owns the device and various other things such as time. So we can look at schedules, in business hours, in school hours, during a particular class. So we can select these and we can build up a whole collection of different tags which the system will evaluate. And then we choose the policy that is applied. So where it says policy here with this drop down, this is now showing me all the network group policies. So for example, we have some network group policies already created, such as accounting, block BitTorrent and gaming, contractors, and so on. So say I was to choose one of the ones in here that says throttle, video, and music. I've already configured that in the group policies section of the Meraki dashboard in a way where I would have added, for example, a video and music throttling policy for iTunes and YouTube, or whatever I want. And now I'm attaching it to any of the devices that have these Systems Manager tags. So in this case, it's going to be any Cisco device that is being used by an executive that is meeting our compliance policies for Meraki security. Now, this could be something completely different. So we could maybe say, well, we want the executives to access video and music, we want to throttle contractors. So I could go in here and I could remove these tags, and I could change it to a different set of tags. I could go in and choose a contractor, or maybe we're interested in, let's say, a normal employee. So let's choose a normal employee there. And we can keep adding different Sentry policies, and these Sentry policies are then using the power of the Meraki MDM in Systems Manager in terms of understanding all these different things on the client device and using it to apply network policies automatically. You have to do no configuration of the different components. So you're not having to configure the network to talk to a policy server. You don't have to integrate your MDM with a network component and then tell it all the network endpoints that can access and all that sort of thing. Because everything is already talking to the Meraki cloud and is natively integrated and accessible through the Meraki dashboard, all we have to do is offer you these drop-down boxes which you can click and select to enable this very powerful functionality. So this is one of the core features of the Sentry functionality available with Systems Manager, and this is known as Sentry policies. So the next Sentry feature I want to go look at is relevant to the wireless network. So we're going to go into this section called Access Control, where we configure access to the wireless network. And I'm going to choose our corporate wireless network here because I want to look at how we deploy a WPA2 enterprise access control mechanism onto the wireless LAN in a very secure and easy fashion. So typically, EAP-TLS is a complex thing to configure and manage due to the client-side certificates and the certificate authority that need to be managed to allow everyone to connect to the network. However, it is often considered one of the most secure forms of connecting your mobile devices to the wireless network. So the great thing about Systems Manager Sentry Wi-Fi security is it removes all of that complexity. What you do is you select WPA2 Enterprise and we select Meraki Authentication. If we now scroll down, we have this new section down the bottom here that says Systems Manager Sentry Wi-Fi Security. Now, if I click in this box, we can see a number of older Systems Manager networks and tags, as well as some newer ones. And I could go and pick this one that says Cisco. So again, this is checking the tags on the devices that we have. So any device with a tag of Cisco will be able to access the wireless network. And we are provisioning a unique client-side certificate for those devices through the Systems Manager MDM. So all the pain, all the problems, all the trouble in managing the client-side certificate infrastructure and the certificate authority are removed by the use of Systems Manager. So if you don't already have that infrastructure but you aspire to it or would like to have a more secure deployment, you can very easily achieve that using Systems Manager in just a couple of clicks. The next piece of functionality on this page that involves Systems Manager Sentry is the ability to enroll devices. So again, this is highlighting the interaction between the Systems Manager, MDM, and the other Meraki networking products made possible by that interaction through the cloud infrastructure. So we've got the Sentry policies, which is doing that. We have this Systems Manager Sentry Wi-Fi security, which is using Systems Manager and the cloud infrastructure to automatically provision those certificates. And Systems Manager Sentry Enrollment, which we have here, is a way of very simply getting people on board into Systems Manager Sentry. So with Sentry enabled, this means anyone connecting to the wireless network will be checked to see if they have the Systems Manager software or agent or profile installed on their device. If they do not, then they are treated in a particular way. And that way is adjusted using this section here called Systems Manager Sentry Enrollment, and we can change the strength and the platforms that we want to check for. So we can make this whereby people can connect even if they don't have Systems Manager, but it will ask them to. We can make it so it only forces those on supported platforms to install it before they're allowed to connect, or we can make it very strict so you can only get on if you have it, even if you have a platform that isn't supported by a Systems Manager agent. And we can choose what platforms we want to enforce that on using the checkboxes down here. So this simplifies the process of getting people onboarded into the MDM dramatically because they can self-serve themselves when connecting to the wireless network without the administrator having to do all of that manually themselves. The next feature that I want to look at in relation to Systems Manager Sentry is on the security appliance side with Client VPN. Very similar to the style of functionality available with the Wi-Fi security, where we're automating a very complex, difficult way of connecting to the network, such as EAP-TLS, we're doing the same with the client-side VPN. In this instance, we're not using client-side certificates, but automatically generated, configured, and provisioned passwords and keys, which are then pushed to the device using Systems Manager. So in here, I currently have it set up to use Active Directory as my authentication service. But if I go in and choose Meraki Cloud, I can then choose Systems Manager Sentry VPN Security. If I enable this, I can again go in and just choose the tags of the devices that I want to have access. And so I can go in here and I can pick one of my Systems Manager Sentry tags. So I can again go and choose Cisco, and now the devices tagged with Cisco will automatically have all the configuration parameters for the VPN, plus the usernames and passwords and the keys provisioned onto the device with no user interaction required. So this is really a very simple way of getting things up and running. Now, the final couple of things are in the Systems Manager Sentry page itself, and are just a brief extension of some of the functionality we've already looked at. So if I go into here and I choose Systems Manager, and then I go into the section that says Settings, there are two areas where you can, again, use Sentry functionality. And so Sentry is where we have a feature where we're using data available from other parts of the network infrastructure, which we've accessed through the cloud. So for example, if I choose Wi-Fi here, I can manually configure Wi-Fi settings that will be provisioned to the device, or I can just choose Sentry, and we are then able to access the data for our other networks through the cloud. So I can say, let's choose the Meraki Corporate Wireless, and it's now going to automatically pull in the appropriate parameters and configuration information for that network. The same is possible again with the VPN, and here we have Sentry chosen. It's automatically imported the appropriate network settings and is provisioned to the devices that have this profile. So that's a brief summary and overview of the features of Systems Manager Sentry. Sentry encompasses a number of different pieces of technology which have been expanded and increasing their access to other platforms where we may not support all of them today. For further information, please contact your Cisco Meraki account teams, and they'll be able to walk through this with you in further detail. If you're an existing Meraki customer with MR or MX products, I highly recommend that you go and look at Systems Manager functionality because it really enhances the product features you have today. It provides additional security, it eases the administrative burden, and it provides you greater access and control to parts of your network and to your mobile devices.